I think the point he's making is pretty obvious that like you get your niche audience and you tell them what they want to hear and you entrench further and further and further. And obviously that's the best money making scheme right
So why haven't we done that? I mean, we just go out of our way to alienate our audience every single episode.
Yeah. Sorry, Mom. But
one day we're pissing off the liberals, the next day we're pissing off the anarchists, the next day we're pissing off the
boomer parents.
Yeah, the boomer parents.
And my uncle says I swear too much. Anyway.
You tear down the house, then you put up the rent. You pocket the cash, and you crush all dissent.
Hello and welcome to the Red Dead Pale episode 45. We're recording on Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. And my name is Simone.
And mine is Jean-Paul.
And this is a podcast about art, culture, history, politics, technology, and parenting from a left perspective. Where is the baby monitor?
That's a good question. I'm feeling a sensible loss over my microphone that the children have destroyed.
So it's
with the water gun.
It is Tuesday, and we are recording the headlines of the episode that we need to release tonight.
Yeah.
It's been a challenging week.
We have company.
We have some company.
There's been some birthdays.
Kids are in school.
Multiple of them.
And the kids did shoot the microphone with a water gun.
I've had this microphone for 5 years.
Why would you have this for 5 years? You've been podcasting for 5 years?
Yeah, we've been podcasting behind your back.
Secret podcast.
You're actually my second podcast. This whole time you thought you were my only podcast.
Well, the audio is going to suck, but we got to get headlines done anyways. So it would be a good time to sign up for the Substack. We're still running that promotion. If you share the podcast with someone and prove it to us, you'll get a free year.
Yeah, please like and subscribe on all of your favorite platforms, Twitter, TikTok. We're on Threads. Really enjoying Threads and YouTube. And yeah, give us a little recommended. Any kind of engagement helps the algorithm.
Right. And we'll be starting a GoFundMe for the microphone.
It's irreplaceable. It can't be replaced.
Okay. So we're gonna do a Supreme Court rundown.
Cool.
Because apparently they work like college students where they cram for 2 weeks every 6 months. I don't understand it.
The rest of the time they're too busy accepting yacht vacations and.
I mean, what I imagine is they all get in a room together for like 2 weeks, and they're just like, we'll just do all the work all at once because we can't stomach doing this year round.
Yeah.
And then I would imagine they use a lot of AI at this point to read and write the decisions. So
Thomas is just sitting there like asking ChatGPT what questions to ask.
Yeah, make me sound shrewd. So let's start with last week, where we have the court's 6-3 ruling clearing the way for the Department of Homeland Security to proceed with ending protected status for roughly 350,000 Haitians and 6,000 Syrians.
They're not supposed to do that shit unless they can verify that like things are safe in the place that they're canceling it for.
Things are safe in Haiti and Syria. Yeah, where have you been?
They did. Not only do they not know whether they're safe or not, they didn't even look. They asked the Trump administration asked its own State Department, and with one email, that was it. That was all the looking into it they did. So you can't even go there because the gangs will shoot at the plane as it tries to land. But great. I mean, there's no point to temporary protected status if Haitians can't get it. But
it's ridiculous. I mean, it's completely meaningless at this point. So then the Supreme Court decided to side with Monsanto in a case where they shielded Monsanto from liability over Roundup, the popular weed killer.
Okay.
And this is a big win for Bayer, who's, I guess, the parent company of Monsanto.
That's right.
And it would resolve thousands of costly cancer-related lawsuits that are currently in the.
Why are they not liable?
It has to do with who gets to decide what appears in a pesticide label. That's like the fine print of the decision. And so...
Oh, I mean, if you got cancer, it's your fault because you should have known what was in this.
So the central issue in this case, filed by Missouri resident John Darnell, is who decides what should appear on a pesticide or insecticide label and whether a federal law overrides states' claims. Justice Kavanaugh wrote in a 7-2 opinion that the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act expressly preempts state law and Monsanto's failure to warn consumers about the dangers of glyphosate. Justice Brown Jackson filed a dissenting opinion with Neil Gorsuch. So Monsanto
Gorsuch was against them?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Monsanto argued that a federal law gives the power to set the label to the EPA, not to the states. So this is like an anti-state rights situation.
Right. The federal government has stolen this right from states.
Yes.
Okay.
It's in order to protect Bayer.
Okay. Every power that the federal government doesn't have is supposed to be given to the states. And so it has to be expressly given to the federal government in the Constitution for the federal government to have, not the states.
Yeah.
So is there some part of the Constitution which says that the federal government can shield Monsanto from liability?
I just think you'd expect all those the small government justices to be really hyped up on this decision.
Yeah.
No, I mean they've basically ensured that the EPA can have minimal guidelines here and states cannot improve it. And so now all these lawsuits that are in the states, because the states might have had better or different laws about what goes on to labels related to whether this thing's going to give you cancer, won't get settled.
Well,
This did make the Maha people mad.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I have this weird suspicion that every time Maha and MAGA come into conflict, Maha is going to have to take a back seat. Just a hunch for all the Maha mobs out there.
President Trump did sign an executive order to boost domestic production of glyphosate earlier this year.
An executive order. Strategic reserves of the cancer juice are running too low. Great. Good.
Great. So then on to the next one. Supreme Court rolls back federal limits on campaign finance.
Oh, I didn't press any limits. Great.
They rolled back long-standing limits, and this is ABC News, long-standing limits on the amount of money political parties can spend in coordination with individual candidates for federal office, a ruling that could unleash a wave of new spending before the midterms. Writing for the majority in a 6-3 ruling, Justice Brett Kavanaugh found that the limits enacted by Congress following Watergate unconstitutionally restrict free speech. In short, constitutional text, history, and precedent establish that the political party coordinated expenditure limits violate the First Amendment, Kavanaugh wrote.
Yeah, he's probably right. If money is speech, then why would it be limited?
President Trump celebrated the decision in a social media post, calling it a all caps big win for Republicans.
Yep.
And a win for the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
He just added that like as an additional.
Yeah. Secondarily.
I knew that.
And of course, it was a big loser for the First Amendment. I would be very completely happy. I mean, these are people who they live off of campaign contributions now. Their entire life is campaign contributions, and then I guess in his case, abusing power to get bribes. So probably pretty good to up the limit.
2 Republican campaign committees were the ones that filed the lawsuit, along with then Senator Vance. So this is a Vance win.
A Vance win. But you don't get many of those.
No, Trump didn't even give it to him in the tweet. So that's not great.
Oligarchy is the new plutocracy, and these people are not going to hide it from you anymore.
No.
And they need to even more direct control over who your elected representatives are than they had before. And they'll still look you in the face and call this a democracy as they buy up every politician.
Remember when we were like boo-hooing about Citizens United? We were like, this has to be rolled back.
Yeah.
It was such a quaint thought and time.
Yep.
Can you imagine? It's like, it seems silly.
Yeah, I mean, these people will blame the conservative court, and they'll blame anyone who said don't vote for Hillary because that was the administration that put all these justices in. But that was all after Citizens United.
Yeah.
So the progressive court's the one that did this. So progressive.
Progressive. Right. Next on the docket, ACL press release here. I'm going to read the ACL press release. Attorneys for transgender student athletes respond to Supreme Court ruling. This morning, the Supreme Court of the United States issued its ruling in 2 cases, West Virginia versus BPJ and Little versus Hecox, brought to the Supreme Court by states defending categorical bans on transgender women and girls and participating in women's and girls' sports teams. The Supreme Court has upheld Idaho and West Virginia's sports bans, holding that these laws do not violate either Title IX or the Equal Protection Clause. This is a heartbreaking ruling for our clients and transgender girls like them who've asked for nothing more than the same opportunities afforded to their peers, says Joshua Block, the senior counsel for the ACLU's LGBTQ and HIV rights project. The reality is that the equality of transgender women and girls takes nothing away and, in fact, promotes the equality of all women and girls, and we will continue to advance the fundamental principle that all young people deserve equal opportunity to thrive and succeed. These two cases argue that the bans violate the rights of two transgender female student athletes under the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, in addition violating Title IX, but the Supreme Court disagrees.
I can't say that I'm that surprised, but like the insistence on this being the issue it continues to be heartbreaking to me that like so many people are like sitting there going, man, girls sports and bathrooms for like little kids, and that's the most sophistication we get out of this topic. But fighting for the equal rights of trans people is going to be an uphill, protracted, and much more militant struggle if it's going to succeed. It's certainly not going to happen because of the Supreme Court. I think this, like, a lot of people who are alive today remember like all these stories about the Supreme Court sort of ruling on the side of like the civil rights movement, and they sort of think that the Supreme Court is like their last bastion of defense against the encroachment on the rights of like marginalized people, and that's not what it is.
Some more details on the ruling itself. It was a 6-3 ruling.
Okay.
It's the 3 liberal female justices ruling. They were the dissenters.
Yeah.
In the ruling, it is explicitly stated that Title IX must only be interpretable as biological sex. That's what they determined, is that the only way that you could make sense of Title IX legally is to understand it as biological sex, which was why it doesn't protect, I guess, transgender girls.
Yeah, at least it does. It's not a ruling that like it's not a nationwide ban on trans athletes. It's basically saying that the Supreme Court has no opinion on whether states decide to do that or not. So I guess we'll get more of this polarization of the country until like some states have abortion and trans rights and some states don't.
I mean, Trump had a terrible tweet, obviously, because he's a fucking asshole about it. Kavanaugh, in a footnote, wrote that the ruling does not answer the question of whether federal laws allow schools to let transgender girls play on girls' sports teams, noting that is nothing in the opinion is intended to decide that question. In addition, nothing in this opinion should be interpreted to address or limit participation by biological females or males on co-ed sports teams.
I think that's the solution to all this, actually, is do a lot more co-ed sports. Like everything in elementary school should be co-ed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
There's just no reason for the amount of, like, the bizarro hoops the gendered sports segregation causes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the problem, is you have any segregation at all. I mean, I certainly don't want like every single college team to be co-ed such that there are no girls on any of them.
No. When you're talking about early sports, especially when it's less competitive, there's really no reason for it to be a problem.
Yeah.
But there's also a whole movement of people that are like, there's no reason for these sports early on to be that competitive, because all you're doing is burning out the would-be athletes and also making it inaccessible for other athletes, potential athletes, and that's not positive for anybody. It doesn't create more competitive athletes, really. So if you're talking about sports for fun and activity, it should just be co-ed. It's not, I mean, honestly, developmentally, these girls are, when they're younger, are like better able to pay attention and half the time bigger and stronger. So I don't even understand what the problem is.
Yeah.
But it's a bummer of a headline. But you know what? The Supreme Court did uphold birthright citizenship, striking down Trump's executive order by basically saying that the more than century-old understanding that nearly all people who are born in the U.S. are citizens could not be undone by an executive order, essentially.
Do they say whether it could be legislation, or they say it had to be a constitutional amendment?
In a divided decision in the case of Trump versus Barber, the Supreme Court split 6-3, finding that Mr. Trump's policy is unlawful. 5 of the justices, Robert, Sotomayor, Kagan, Barrett, and Brown-Jackson, agreed that Trump's executive order violates the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. Kavanaugh wrote separately to say he believes the order violates federal law as well. At this point, the Supreme Court has now invalidated a second of Mr. Trump's signature initiatives from his second term, because they also struck down the tariffs, you'll remember, in February. And from the opinion, we have citizenship then and now was the right to have rights to freely participate in our political community. The framers of the 14th Amendment extended that promise to every free-born person in this land. We will keep that promise today. So it sounds like they're saying you can't really mess with that without it being
A constitutional
like,
amendment.
without it violating the 14th Amendment itself.
I can't. This one I can't expect that they actually thought that this was a meaningful executive order in any.
That's
Anyway.
the sense I got is like no
It's
one
mostly
really
red
thought
meat,
no
yeah.
one thought it could really hold. Well, although people were alarmed. I mean, 3 of the Supreme Court justices did not agree that this was unconstitutional. Gorsuch, Thomas, and Alito.
Yeah.
The Star Wars villains of the court.
Yeah. They're basically saying that this was for slaves. It was not for like other people.
Other people who can be born here.
Right, which is I love to see like it never occurred to them that people could move here and then have children.
Well, right. Both this decision and the transgender decision I talked about with our 9-year-old. And first of all, the transgender decision, they were like, I'm sorry, what? Why would anyone decide that transgender people can't play on the sports team that they belong on? And I'm like, right. And then this one, they were like, how else would you decide whether someone gets to be a citizen? And I'm like, right? Like what? The color of their skin?
Yeah.
Like who their parents are and if they're white enough? Like what are you suggesting here?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's my Supreme Court roundup. The only thing I'm going to add...
Roundup.
That's my Supreme Court roundup with no fine print.
Did you have to tell me the chemicals with it were inside your Roundup?
This may or may not cause cancer.
If it causes cancer, you can't sue us. It's right there in the decision.
I will say that we covered the Prairieland defendants when they were, I guess, arrested and charged. And the sentencing has come back. When we talked about it, we were like, oh my God, they got this judge. It's going to be terrible. The sentencing is terrible.
Yeah.
They were all sentenced between like 30 and 100 years in prison. So this is to remind our listeners. These are folks that attended a noise demonstration outside of an ICE facility in Texas and were charged with like terrorism charges because they are supposedly in an Antifa cell.
Right. And someone shot a weapon at the protest.
Someone shot a weapon and it ricocheted and it did hit a police officer who was not seriously harmed. So, like, if you did want to compare contrast to some other things like January 6th, like, go right ahead. That person was sentenced to 100 years for not seriously harming a police officer, nor shooting directly at one.
Yeah.
The person that got 30 years was not even in attendance. He was sentenced 30 years in federal prison because he moved a box of zines and he lives with a partner and he and the partner print zines. And when I say zines, I mean zines. I mean like one of the zines is like the Witches, Healers, and Midwives, that great Barbara Enright book about midwifery. And other zines are like, you know, legit, like handwritten by like local people about like how to like save seeds. We're talking like our bookshelf apparently is full of zines.
Yeah. I mean, if these people are domestic terrorists and every single person in the Proud Boys is domestic terrorist, everyone who's ever distributed their information is a domestic terrorist. It's not Proud Boys? It's not a question.
Of course. And anyone who has picked up a communist paper and has it in their house is distributing, you know, terrorist documents. Anyone who has read Emma Goldman. And anyone who is like, seriously, I mean, like,
right. But the underlying
the entire AK press. I mean, do they know about AK press?
No, like the thing here is like, and we said this before, we can't hunt down everyone who has ever read the Communist Manifesto. But if you go to a protest, there are going to be people around you. You don't know them. You don't know what they're packing. You don't know what their intentions are. If they do anything, you're also in trouble. And it's going to be the end of your life. So don't go do anything. Right.
But you're not saying that that's what you should.
No, I think what you should do is you should say there's millions of us. They're trying to make an example out of 5 people. This probably will not stick. But even if it does, it's 5 people, and it's much, much more important to them that they scare you than that they get these 5 people in prison. So you need to not be scared. But the psychological attack here is not that he moved the zines. It's that like you can't go to these protests because people do things that are out of your control, and you will get in trouble for them. Only if you're on the left, though. If you're anybody else, it doesn't matter. They can literally kill cops at these things, and it doesn't matter.
Right. It is more than 5.
You still be pardoned.
Yes, it is more than 5 people, and hopefully these sentences will get reduced. But like, this is violence against these folks, and it's 8 people who've been sentenced. There's been 19 people arrested. there are ways you can support them and their families. And you're right, it's meant to scare people off. And like some people are going to be unlucky and be made the example, and these are the early examples. Although these are like they're not going to just do these. They're going to target people all over the place because there's a clear political project to target left wing, particularly I guess anarchist leading activists. Some of them pled out too, so I don't know if what the deal is with sentencing.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if it's easy as like,
They
oh,
probably didn't get 100 years if they pled.
well, the least amount they could have gotten, and like Soto will be sentenced on July 1st, along with Gibson and Morgan, who took non-cooperating plea deals, and 5 defendants took cooperating plea deals. So like, I don't know if it's as straightforward as like these will get reduced and reversed. But on to the artifact.
Grab at the land.
Okay.